Don Rowe kind of looked like Glenn Lewis. I never noticed that before.
I think he looks a little better than yeah, I think he looks better looking, don't you think?
All right, stop the show. Stop the show. We got a question.
Where are the cookies?
Cookies?
Where's the cookies?
Thank you.
Well, anyway, our next Lar Pants on Fire is J.C. Kristanoff, and he is from Middletown, Ohio, by way of Charleston, West Virginia. According to his own true self, he is known as cute, cuddly, kind, playful, and always sympathetic. Those are his words, I remind you, because I'm not sure that the suspects he interrogated back in his detective days would agree with that. He may be full of beans. Here's J.C.
I particularly like the part about being sympathetic. Well,
Closer to the mic, JC.
okay. As I've said in the introduction, I'm from West Virginia.
Yeah. All right, reason.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Charleston, West Virginia. And I was in the 7th grade at Woodrow Wilson Junior High School. And there were 2 teachers in that school. And one of them was just a delight. She was a lovely lady, always came to school well dressed, had her hair done, makeup on. And her sister was as ugly as homemade sin. She taught English, and guess who had her? Me. Well, we go to class in this particular 7th grade English class, and we always had lunch right in the middle. It was a 45-minute class. You go 20 minutes, and then you break and go to lunch and come back 20 minutes. Well, this one particular day, the girl that was in front of me, sat in front of me, and I'm sure most of you remember these solid wood desks, armchairs, you know, they're hard as rocks. You couldn't sleep in them at all. And we would line up in alphabetical order. So we got back from lunch, and I noticed this particular day, she squirmed this way, and then she squirmed that way. When I understand half the boys in there was on the football team. Well, she'd squirm this way, she'd squirm that way, and about the 3rd time she rolled over on the left side of that woman let a fart that you could have heard in the next county. I mean, and there must have been some thunder with that, because the room started smelling like burnt sulfur. Well, we started laughing. And of course, the teacher's screaming and yelling. She's got a pencil in her hand, and she throws that pencil. Well, the boy in the front row holds up the book, and it hits the book. Well, 7th grade kids, we start laughing harder. She grabs a chalk eraser, and she threw that chalk eraser so hard that I thought I was at a Major League Baseball game. It hit the captain of the football team square in the chest, and the white stuff went everywhere. Well, she starts screaming, and we're laughing harder, and she's standing up there next to the desk, and she starts screaming, "Quiet, quiet," and she's jumping up and down. And the 3rd time her feet hit the ground, her panties come down around her ankles. They did, and she stepped back and kicked them dudes underneath the desk, and I thought I'd lose my mind. She took off out of there along with the girl that started all this, took off, and out they went. Well, we were laughing until about 10 minutes later, the dean of men walked in. And he lined every boy. I don't understand this, because the girls was laughing just as hard as we were. Lined every one of us up, took us downstairs. And he introduced us to the Board of Education. And the one boy, he was kind of upset about it. And he said, "Sir," he said, "don't we get a say-so in this thing?" He said, "You know, it's not entirely our fault." And I remember him standing there and looking at him, and he was mad. And he said, "All right, boy, make it quick." So he started telling him. Well, he got to the part where Miss Parsons' drawers fell down around her ankles, and he got tickled. He brought us all back in the room, set us down around his desk and wall and wherever, and gave us a 45-minute lecture on respect for womanhood. Well, the next day we go back to class. Nobody laughed at Miss Parsons. Well, not so she could hear. And the poor girl that started all this business, she didn't come back to school next Monday. But at any rate, the one thing that I did learn about this whole business is that from that day until the day that woman retired, she was known as Triple P. Pink Panties Parson.